The morning sky above Earth Defense Force headquarters was clear and blue when humanity's greatest challenge arrived. Admiral James Reed stood at his office window, coffee cup in hand, watching the sunrise paint the Rocky Mountains in golden light. At exactly 7:15 a.m., every screen in the building turned red. "Admiral." Lieutenant Tom Baker burst through the door, his face pale. Multiple unknown objects just appeared beyond Pluto's orbit. Their massive stir, bigger than anything we've ever seen. Reed placed his coffee down slowly, years of training keeping his voice steady. "Show me." In the command center, dozens of officers worked at their stations, their fingers flying over holographic keyboards. The main screen showed hundreds of ships, their metal hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. They formed a perfect arrow formation, pointing directly at Earth. "Size estimate?" Reed asked, his eyes fixed on the screen. "The largest ship is approximately 15 kilometers long, sir," answered Captain Mary Wilson from her station. "We're counting over 300 vessels, all showing energy readings far beyond our normal scale." Reed nodded, his mind already running through defense scenarios. Earth wasn't helpless. Far from it. But they'd never faced anything of this magnitude. The communication officer's console suddenly lit up. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission. It's being broadcast on all frequencies, in perfect English." "Put it through," Reed ordered, straightening his uniform. The screen flickered, and a humanoid figure appeared. It looked almost human, except for its silver skin and entirely black eyes. When it spoke, its voice was deep and carried an artificial undertone. "People of Earth, I am Grand Ambassador Smith of the Galactic Empire. For 10,000 years, we have brought order and progress to the galaxy. Your civilization has been monitored since you first split the atom. The time has come for Earth to take its place in our empire." Reed exchanged glances with his senior staff. They had prepared for first contact, but not like this. The ambassador continued, "Submit to imperial rule within 72 hours, and your transition will be peaceful. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate our power. Choose wisely." The transmission ended. Within minutes, the Earth Defense Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from all major nations gathered virtually, their holograms filling the council chamber. "Their technology is impressive." Dr. Robert White, Earth's leading physicist, addressed the council. "But our scans show something interesting. Their faster-than-light drive uses controlled quantum tunneling, a method we abandoned 50 years ago as inefficient." Council President Anna Thompson leaned forward. "Explain in simple terms, Doctor." "They're using brute force to travel through space," White replied, excitement creeping into his voice. "It's like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Yes, it works, but our quantum fold technology is far more advanced. They just don't know it yet." Reed listened carefully. Earth had kept many of its technological advances secret, preparing for a day like this. Their quantum shields, zero-point energy generators, and AI defense systems were hidden beneath a carefully maintained appearance of a less advanced civilization. "What are our options?" Thompson asked, looking at Reed. "We have 3 days," Reed responded, standing tall. "I suggest we use them wisely. If they're monitoring us, let's show them exactly what they expect to see. A planet in panic, arguing over whether to submit. Meanwhile, we can quietly activate our defense grid." "And if they attack?" someone asked. Reed allowed himself a small smile. "Then they'll learn why humanity has survived every challenge it's ever faced. We didn't become the dominant species on Earth by submitting to threats." The council voted unanimously. Earth would not submit. As Reed walked back to his office, he thought about humanity's history. Every time someone had declared themselves superior, humanity had proved them wrong. The Galactic Empire might have 10,000 years of conquest behind them, but they had never met humans before. He reached his desk and pressed a button. Across the solar system, hidden installations began powering up. Quantum shields shimmed into existence around key installations, invisible to Imperial sensors. Air defense systems came online, analyzing every piece of data about the Imperial fleet. Reed looked out his window again, at the same mountains he'd admired earlier. They had stood for millions of years, and they would stand for millions more. Earth had declared its answer to the Empire's ultimatum. Now they just had to prepare for what would come next. The game had begun, and humanity was ready to play. 2 days had passed since the Empire's ultimatum. On every news channel, reporters talked about Earth's options. People rushed to stores, buying supplies for what they thought would be a war. But inside the Earth Defense Force bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, everything was going according to plan. Admiral Reed watched the final tests of Earth's quantum shield. On the massive screen before him, small dots represented thousands of satellites orbiting Earth. Each one held a piece of humanity's greatest defense system. "Sir," Captain Wilson called out, "the Empire is broadcasting again." The silver-skinned ambassador appeared on screen. "Your time grows short, Earth. We observe your chaos and fear. Submit now and save yourselves the pain of resistance." Reed pressed a button on his chair. "This is Admiral James Reed of the Earth Defense Force. We have an answer for you." He nodded to Dr. White, who stood nearby with a tablet in his hands. "Now, Doctor, show them why they should have studied their history better." Dr. White's fingers moved across his tablet. Across the solar system, hidden quantum generators activated. A soft blue glow spread from satellite to satellite, forming connections like a giant web around Earth. "What is this?" the ambassador demanded, his black eyes widening. "Let me tell you a story," Reed said, standing up. "In 2089, 35 years ago, humanity made a discovery. We found a way to create quantum shields that could protect entire planets. Want to know how we discovered it?" The ambassador remained silent, but Reed could see other aliens appearing in the background of the transmission, all staring at their instruments. "We discovered it because we looked for defense before attack. While you were building bigger ships and stronger weapons, we were finding ways to protect our home." Dr. White activated the final sequence. The quantum shield fully activated, creating an invisible but impenetrable barrier around the entire solar system. On the Empire's ships, alarms began to sound. "Impossible," the ambassador shouted. "Our scans showed nothing like this capability." Reed smiled. "That's because you only saw what we wanted you to see. Your quantum tunneling technology. We tested it and moved beyond it decades ago. Your energy weapons. We've already found 10 ways to counter them." The memory of that discovery flashed through Reed's mind. He had been a young captain then, watching the first tests of the quantum shield. They had fired Earth's strongest weapons at it, and the shield had absorbed everything without a flicker. "Your ships can't enter our solar system now," Reed continued. "The quantum shield prevents any unauthorized quantum tunneling. You can't shoot through it, you can't scan through it, and you definitely can't break through it." On another screen, Reed could see the Empire's ships moving, trying to find weak points in the shield. Their weapons fired, but the energy simply spread across the shield's surface, making it glow slightly before being absorbed. "This is your final warning," the ambassador said, but his voice had lost its confidence. "The Empire has never failed to conquer a world." "Then perhaps," Reed replied, "it's time for the Empire to learn something new. Earth doesn't surrender. Earth doesn't submit. And most importantly, Earth doesn't need your empire." Dr. White stepped forward. "Admiral, look at their scan patterns. They're trying to analyze the shield technology." Reed nodded. "Let them try. The quantum field scrambles any detailed scans. The more power they use to scan it, the more energy our shield absorbs. They're actually making our defenses stronger." The ambassador's image flickered as he received reports from his scientists. His silver face showed the first signs of worry. "You have made a grave mistake," he said finally. "No one defies the Empire." "Then we'll be the first," Reed answered. "But not the last. You gave us 3 days to submit. We're using that time to show every world in your empire that resistance is possible." The transmission cut off abruptly. In the command center, officers watched as the Imperial fleet began to move into attack formation. Reed sat back in his chair, feeling calm. The shield was working perfectly. Earth's defenses were ready. Now it was time to show the Empire why humanity had survived every challenge it had ever faced. "All stations," he called out, "prepare for their first attack. Let's show them what happens when they threaten Earth." The real test was about to begin, but for the first time in history, an alien force would learn that some worlds weren't meant to be conquered. The Imperial fleet's attack began at dawn. 300 warships moved in perfect formation, their weapons charging with enough power to destroy a small moon. Inside Earth's Defense Command Center, Admiral Reed watched calmly as red dots on the main screen approached the quantum shield. "All defense stations, report," Reed ordered, his voice steady. "Quantum shield at full power, sir," Captain Wilson replied. "A defense systems are tracking all enemy movements. Shield absorption rate at optimal levels," Dr. White added from his station. "The more they hit us, the stronger our shield becomes." The first Imperial ships fired their weapons. Massive beams of energy struck Earth's quantum shield. The shield lit up like a second sun, spreading the energy across its entire surface. In the command center, everyone watched in silence. "Shield holding at 100%. Captain Wilson reported. "No damage detected. In fact, sir, our power reserves are increasing." Reed nodded. "Just as we planned. Their weapons are actually charging our defense grid." He turned to Lieutenant Baker. "Show them what we can do with all that extra energy." Baker's fingers flew across his console. Across the solar system, hidden defense platforms activated. They didn't fire weapons. They did something far more interesting. "Launching nanite swarms," Baker announced. Thousands of tiny robots, each smaller than a grain of sand, poured out from Earth's defense platforms. They moved through the quantum shield like it wasn't there, heading straight for the Imperial fleet. On the main screen, they watched as the Empire's ships fired again and again. Each blast was absorbed by the shield, making it glow brighter. The Imperial Admiral must have been frustrated. Nothing they did caused any damage. "Sir," Wilson called out, "they're trying to concentrate their fire on one point." Reed smiled. "Let them. The AI will redistribute the energy." "Dr. White, how are our nanites doing?" Dr. White checked his readings. "First contact with enemy ships in 3, 2, 1. The nanite swarms reached the Imperial fleet. These tiny robots were one of Earth's best-kept secrets. They could eat through any material, turning enemy ships into raw materials for making more nanites." On the screen, they watched as small holes appeared in the nearest Imperial ships. Alarms must have been sounding throughout the enemy fleet. The Imperial ships tried to retreat, but the nanites had already started their work. "Enemy ships showing structural damage," Wilson reported. "Their weapons are failing as the nanites disable their power systems." Reed picked up his coffee cup, taking a slow sip. "Send them a message. Let's show them what mercy looks like." The communication officer opened a channel. Reed's voice echoed across space. "This is Admiral Reed. As you can see, we could destroy your entire fleet. But unlike you, we don't believe in needless destruction. Withdraw now, and we'll call back our nanites. Stay, and watch your ships turn to dust." The Imperial fleet's response was quick. Their remaining ships started retreating, leaving behind 3 vessels that were too damaged to move. The nanites pulled back, leaving the crippled ships dead in space. "Should we help their damaged ships, sir?" Wilson asked. Reed nodded. "Send rescue ships. Let's show them how Earth treats even its enemies." As Earth's rescue vessels approached the damaged Imperial ships, Reed thought about what this victory meant. The Empire had just learned that their superior technology wasn't so superior after all. "Dr. White," Reed called out, "prepare a full report on the battle." Include footage of their weapons being absorbed and the nanite defense. I want every world in the Empire to see what happened here today. Already done, sir, White replied. Our quantum communication network is broadcasting it now. Every planet in the Empire will know within hours. Reed looked at the retreating Imperial fleet on the screen. This was just the beginning. The Empire had ruled through fear of their unstoppable fleet. Now that fleet had been stopped, and the whole galaxy would know. Well done, everyone, Reed announced to his crew. But stay alert. This was just their first attempt. They'll be back, and next time they'll be desperate. That's when they'll be most dangerous. The crew returned to their stations, proud but focused. Earth had won its first battle against the Empire, but the war was far from over. At least now everyone knew that humanity wasn't just another easy conquest for the Empire's collection. The real fight was just beginning. On the bridge of the Imperial flagship Star Dominion, Admiral Marcus Gray slammed his fist on his command chair. Unlike the silver-skinned ambassador, Gray looked human, because he was human. His ancestors had left Earth centuries ago, joining the Empire during its early expansion. Impossible, he shouted, watching the replay of their failed attack. How could they have advanced so far without us knowing? His crew, a mix of various alien species, worked silently at their stations. They had never seen their admiral so angry. The Empire had conquered 1,000 worlds, but none had ever stopped their first attack so completely. Back on Earth, Admiral Reed received an unexpected transmission. When he opened it, he found himself looking at Admiral Gray's face. "You're human," Reed said, hiding his surprise. Gray's eyes narrowed. "My family joined the winning side long ago. We saw the Empire's strength and chose wisely. You should have done the same." "The winning side," Reed replied calmly. "From where I'm sitting, you don't look much like winners right now." The Imperial Admiral's face reddened. "Those tricks with your shields and tiny robots won't save you. The Empire will send more ships, bigger weapons. We'll find a way through." Reed leaned back in his chair. "Let me show you something, Admiral." "Dr. White, activate the nanite display." The screen split, showing a cloud of nanites breaking down one of the abandoned Imperial ships. As they watched, the tiny robots took the ship apart piece by piece, using the materials to make more nanites. "Your weapons make our shields stronger," Reed explained. "Your ships become food for our nanites. And now, would you like to see our latest upgrade?" Dr. White pressed a button. The nanites suddenly formed into a perfect copy of the Imperial ship they had just broken down. Gray's eyes widened. That's complete molecular reconstruction. Reed finished for him. "Your own ships turned against you. And that's just what we're willing to show you." The Imperial Admiral's confidence cracked further. "The Empire's power isn't just in its ships. We control all trade, all communication between worlds. Your victory means nothing if you're alone." Reed smiled. "Are you sure about that?" "Lieutenant Baker, show him the transmission map." A new display appeared, showing thousands of light points spreading across the galaxy. Each point represented a world receiving Earth's broadcast of the battle. "You see," Reed explained, "while you were focused on our shields, we were using quantum communication to share the truth. Every world under Imperial control now knows that you can be beaten." Gray's face turned pale. "You're lying. Our communication systems would have detected. The same way you detected our shield technology." Reed interrupted. "Perhaps the Empire isn't as all-knowing as you thought." Just then, Captain Wilson rushed to Reed's side. "Sir, we're detecting massive communication spikes across Imperial space. Multiple worlds are requesting more information about our defense systems." Gray heard this through the transmission. His hands gripped his chair tightly. "You don't understand what you're doing. The Empire brings order. Without us, there would be chaos." "No," Reed replied firmly. "The Empire brings submission. Earth is offering something different. The chance for every world to protect itself. We're not trying to build an empire. We're trying to end one. The Imperial Admiral's next words carried a trace of desperation. The Empire will not fall to one rebellious planet. We will return, with a fleet so large your shields will crack under its power. Reed's response was calm but firm. Then we'll be ready. And so will every other world that's tired of living under your boot. You see, Admiral Gray, that's the difference between us. You think bigger weapons are the answer. We know that the best weapon is showing others how to defend themselves. The transmission cut off abruptly. In Earth's command center, the crew watched as the remaining Imperial ships jumped away, leaving their ruined vessels behind. "Sir," Captain Wilson asked, "do you think they'll really come back with a bigger fleet?" Reed nodded. "They have to. If they don't, every world in the Empire will know they're weak. But that's exactly what we want." "What do you mean, sir?" "The bigger the fleet they send," Reed explained, "the more worlds they'll leave unguarded. And the more resources they waste trying to break our shields. The more worlds will realize they can break free," Wilson finished, understanding dawning on her face. Reed turned back to the main screen, watching Earth's message spread across the galaxy. The Empire's greatest weapon had always been fear. Now that weapon was turning against them, one world at a time. The next phase of Earth's plan began in the quietest way possible. While the Imperial fleet regrouped at their distant bases, Earth's quantum computers worked silently, sending tiny packets of data through space. These packets slipped through the Empire's networks like invisible needles through cloth. In the command center, Dr. White monitored the progress. "Operation Lighthouse is working, Admiral. Our quantum data packets are reaching every Imperial world." Reed walked between rows of computers where Earth's best hackers worked. These weren't criminals. They were military specialists trained to fight in the digital realm. Their fingers moved quickly across keyboards as they broke through the Empire's security systems. "Show me our progress," Reed ordered. The main screen lit up with a map of Imperial space. Green dots appeared everywhere, showing successful data insertions. Each dot represented a world receiving Earth's gift, complete plans for building quantum shields and nanite defenses. "Sir," Lieutenant Baker called out, "we're receiving responses. 3 systems are already beginning shield construction. They're using our blueprints." Reed nodded, everything going according to plan. "And the Empire's response?" Captain Wilson checked her readings. "They're trying to block our transmissions, sir, but they don't understand how quantum communication works. They can't stop what they can't detect." Just then, a new message arrived. The face that appeared on screen wasn't the silver-skinned ambassador or Admiral Gray. It was someone different, a rebel leader from a world called Proxima I. "Earth Command, this is Commander Jack Stone of the Proxima Freedom Force. We've received your defense plans. Our scientists say they'll work. We're ready to stand with you." Reed stepped forward. "Commander Stone, we're glad to help. But understand, Earth isn't looking to replace the Empire. We want every world to defend itself." Stone's face showed surprise. "You mean, you're just giving us this technology? No conditions?" "Just one condition," Reed replied. "Share it with others. The more worlds that can defend themselves, the harder it becomes for the Empire to maintain control." As they talked, more messages arrived. Dozens of worlds were receiving Earth's plans. Some were already starting construction. The Empire's perfect order was cracking. "Sir," Dr. White interrupted, "Imperial ships are moving. They're spreading out, trying to stop worlds from building defenses." Reed smiled. "Just as we expected. The more they spread out, the weaker they become. Captain Wilson, start Phase 2. Wilson nodded and sent new commands to Earth's quantum network. Now, along with defense plans, they sent something else: the truth about the Empire's recent defeat at Earth. Across Imperial space, people watched as Earth's quantum shield absorbed the Empire's strongest weapons. They saw nanites take apart Imperial ships like they were made of sand. Most importantly, they saw that the mighty Empire could be stopped. Multiple Imperial worlds are reporting riots, Baker announced. People are demanding their governments build defense systems. Reed watched the chaos spread across the star map. The Empire had ruled through fear and the threat of their unstoppable fleet. Now that fleet had been stopped, and their fear was turning to anger. "New message from Commander Stone, sir," Wilson said. "Proxima II has completed their first shield generator. They're asking for help protecting it until they can finish the defense grid." Reed made a quick decision. Send them the nanite production plans. Tell them to focus on defensive swarms first. The Empire won't expect them to have that technology yet. Hours passed as more worlds joined what was becoming a quiet revolution. The Empire's own communication network, once used to spread fear, now carried messages of hope and rebellion. "Admiral," Dr. White said softly, "I think we should name this day. The Empire has ruled for 10,000 years, but this is the day their power truly began to end." Reed looked at the screen, watching green dots multiply across Imperial space. "No, Doctor, this isn't an ending. This is a beginning. For the first time in 10,000 years, worlds are learning they don't need an empire to survive. They just need the courage to stand up and say no." In the depths of space, the quantum shields of Earth glowed softly, a beacon of defiance that was changing the galaxy one world at a time. The Empire's greatest nightmare had come true. Their subjects were no longer afraid, and it all started because Earth refused to kneel. The Empire's capital world buzzed with emergency alarms. In their Grand Council chamber, Imperial leaders argued as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. 50 worlds had already raised quantum shields. 100 more were building them. The Empire's perfect control was slipping away. Admiral Gray stood before the council, his face tired from sleepless nights. "We must strike now with everything we have. Crush Earth before more worlds turn against us." Meanwhile, in Earth's command center, Admiral Reed watched the Empire's worlds light up with rebellion. Commander Stone from Proxima I appeared on the main screen, his face excited. "Earth Command, you won't believe this. Our nanites just stopped an Imperial attack. They tried to destroy our shield generators, but our defenses held." Stone's voice carried pride and amazement. Reed smiled. "How many other worlds helped you, Commander?" 5 nearby systems sent us their own nanite swarms. We're all protecting each other now. The Empire can't stop us all at once." Captain Wilson worked at her station, updating the galaxy map. "Sir, Imperial forces are spreading thin. They're trying to control too many rebellions at once." Reed nodded. "That's their weakness. They think like an empire, trying to control everything. We think like defenders, helping others protect themselves." Just then, Dr. White rushed in with important news. "Admiral, our quantum sensors are picking up something big. The Empire is gathering their home fleet. Over 1,000 ships." The main screen showed the massive fleet assembling. It was the Empire's last resort, pulling ships from their core worlds to build an unstoppable attack force. "They're desperate," Reed said calmly. "Lieutenant Baker, send an alert to all allied worlds. The Empire's core worlds are now unprotected." Baker's fingers flew across his console, sending the message through their quantum network. Within minutes, responses came flooding back. "Sir, the outer worlds are moving," Wilson reported. "They're sending ships to help protect Earth." But Reed shook his head. "Tell them no. Earth can protect itself. They should focus on the Empire's exposed core worlds instead." The strategy was bold. While the Empire gathered its fleet for one massive attack on Earth, their most important worlds were left with minimal defenses. The rebels saw their chance. Commander Stone's face appeared again. "Admiral Reed, all outer worlds are reporting successful shield activation. We're moving toward the Empire's core systems now. Their own people are welcoming us." On the galaxy map, the Empire's territory was changing color. Green dots of free worlds spread like a wave. The Empire's subjects weren't just rebelling. They were helping each other break free. "Message from Admiral Gray," Baker announced. Gray's face appeared on screen, looking both angry and afraid. "You've doomed us all. Without the Empire, there will be chaos, war, destruction." "No," Reed replied firmly. "Look at your screens, Admiral. The free worlds aren't fighting each other. They're working together. Your Empire brought order through fear. We're bringing peace through cooperation." As if to prove his point, another message came in. The Empire's own capital world was raising quantum shields, not to fight, but to protect itself from its own government. "Imperial fleet is starting to break up," Wilson reported. "Ships are refusing to attack. Some are turning back to protect their homeworlds." The Empire's mighty attack force was falling apart. Without fear to hold it together, the Empire's power was vanishing like smoke in the wind. "Admiral Gray," Reed said, his voice carrying no anger, only understanding. "Your fleet is welcome to join the free worlds. We don't want revenge. We want peace." Hours passed as more reports came in. The Empire's core worlds were declaring independence. Their own people had seen a better way, working together instead of conquering each other. In Earth's command center, the crew watched as history changed. Humanity's refusal to submit had started something unprecedented, the peaceful end of a 10,000-year empire. "Sir," Wilson asked quietly, "did you know it would end like this?" Reed looked at the galaxy map, now showing more free worlds than imperial ones. "No, Captain. We just knew that people, no matter what world they're from, want to be free. Sometimes, they just need to see that it's possible." The revolution in the stars wasn't one with great battles or powerful weapons. It was one with a simple idea, that every world deserved the right to say no to tyranny. And it all started because Earth showed them how. 1 month after the Empire's collapse, ships from 100 worlds gathered around Earth. They came not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals. The first Galactic Council of Free Worlds was about to begin. In the newly built Council Hall in Geneva, Admiral Reed stood at the window, watching ships land. Each one carried leaders from formerly imperial worlds, now free to choose their own path. "Quite a change from a month ago," Dr. White said, joining him at the window. "Remember when those ships were trying to destroy us?" Reed nodded. "Now they're here to help build something new. Something better." The council chamber filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Some looked human, others were completely alien, but all shared the same goal: ensuring freedom for every world. Commander Stone from Proxima I took his seat near Earth's delegation. His world had been among the first to rebel, and now he was helping others build their defenses. Then, a surprise visitor entered the chamber. Admiral Gray, no longer wearing his imperial uniform, walked in slowly. The room fell silent. Reed met him halfway. "Welcome to Earth, Admiral. I wasn't sure you would come." Gray looked tired, but somehow more at peace than before. The Empire was wrong about Earth, wrong about everything. "I see that now. My own world has raised quantum shields, not to fight, but to make sure no new empire can ever force us to serve them again." The council session began with Reed addressing the gathered leaders. Behind him, the main screen showed a galaxy map. Instead of imperial red, most worlds now glowed with the green light of freedom. 1 month ago, Reed began, Earth stood alone against an empire that had ruled for 10,000 years. "We didn't win through superior weapons or stronger ships. We won by showing that every world has the right to say no to tyranny." He gestured to the quantum shield plans displayed on screens around the room. "Earth's technology is now freely available to all, but with it comes responsibility. These defenses are for protection, not conquest. We must ensure they're never used to build a new empire." Commander Stone stood up. "Proxima I proposes a galactic defense network, all free worlds working together, sharing technology and resources. No more conquests, no more empires." The idea spread through the chamber like wildfire. Soon, representatives were discussing how to connect their shield systems, how to share nanite defenses, how to ensure peace through cooperation rather than force. Admiral Gray asked to speak. The room quieted again. For centuries, my family served the Empire. We believe power came from controlling others. Earth showed us a different kind of power, the power of helping others stand on their own. As the day continued, more proposals were approved. The free worlds would maintain a shared defense network. They would help any world that wanted to break free from future would-be conquerors. Most importantly, they would work together as equals. Later, in a quiet moment, Reed found himself talking with both Gray and Stone in the council building's garden. "You know," Gray said, looking up at the stars, "the Empire always feared finding a civilization strong enough to defeat them. They never expected to find one strong enough to show mercy." Stone nodded. "That's what really broke the Empire's power. Not Earth's shields or nanites, but the fact that you helped others instead of conquering them." Reed watched ships taking off into the night sky, carrying leaders back to their homeworlds. Each ship carried copies of Earth's defense technology, but they carried something more important: the knowledge that they never had to kneel to an empire again. "The galaxy's a different place now," Reed said. "No more empires, no more conquests, just free worlds working together. And all because Earth said no," Gray added with a small smile. As the three men looked up at the stars, they could see the faint shimmer of quantum shields protecting Earth. But now those shields weren't a barrier keeping the Empire out. They were a reminder that freedom, once gained, must be protected. Earth had become known as the world that said no, the planet that refused to submit to an empire. But its greater legacy was showing that true strength comes not from conquering others, but from helping them stand free. In the end, that simple truth had done what no weapon could. It had changed the galaxy forever.